Resources are low. There are Earth-sick colonists. A colonist has died. Research complete. A colonist has died. Colonists are departing. colonist has died. A colonist has died. colonist has died. A colonist has died. colonist has died.
It works. The light trap is able to lure and capture wisps within its vicinity.
And so, as a result of there always being a kind of gap, that's the gap, you know, like where the electric spark jumps. That's the thing behind your head, behind your eyes that you could never get to look at. It's the gap. And because of that little gap, the circle doesn't just revolve in a dull way, just go round and round and round like a boring thing. It has rhythm. See, if I say, no rhythm. See, it's just one long sound. After a while, we say, oh, cut it out.
A colonist
Or
has
we just
died.
become insensitive to it. What we want to hear is the break in it, you see. And we want to hear it go on, and vanish, and come back again, and so on. And it sets up a rhythm. That becomes interesting. That's putting gaps between. See? You need those gaps. You need those gaps. See? You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. And behind that there's another rhythm doing a rhythm. So now you see it, now you don't. Now you see it, now you don't. Oh, that's pretty dull. So now you see it, now you don't. Now you see it, now you don't. Oh, that's pretty dull. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to have you see it 3 times, and then with a regular not see it between them. Then there's going to be a longer not see it after that one. And then I'm going to do something very complicated after that so that you don't really know when it's going to come next. So there's going to be a surprise. You know how we all do that? You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. And behind that there's another rhythm doing a rhythm. And interesting people are those who do this in very involved ways. Dull people, sort of people who put their hats on absolutely straight, are the kind of people, for example, who have the same meal every day. Exactly the same thing, always. See? Have no inventiveness. They have the same routine, they go to the same office, they answer the same kind of letters, and that's that. See? But then, if they want to start up a more interesting kind of business and make more money, they take the people who make clothes. They figure out fashion. It's going to be a new thing for ladies, a new style. We're going to make them do long skirts instead of the short skirts. Like this. Then finally they thought about having topless women. They're going to play around with that and have an absolutely scandalous ball. But that's the whole thing, you see. It's this thing of rhythm. And yes, you ask, well, I see that. What is doing this rhythm? Who, after all, am I? And as you explore deeper and deeper and deeper into the nature of yourself, you find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. And behind that was another rhythm doing a rhythm. Your vibration. And who is doing all? And who is doing all? Why, he just came around, there it was. We were looking for him and he vanished. And who is doing all? And who is doing all? Why, he just came around, there it was. We were looking for him and he vanished. And then just when we weren't looking for him again, there he is. But every time we try to see, he isn't there. Now do you see that? That situation is what's called life.
Yeah, I mean, but like, my goal is like try to do useful things, try to maximize the probability the future is good, make the future exciting, something you look forward to, With Tesla, we're like trying to make things that people love. How many things can you buy that you really love, that really give you joy? So rare, so rare. I wish there were more things. That's what we're trying to do. Just make things that somebody loves. Like, what are the set of things that can be done to make the future better? I think that a future where we are a spacefaring civilization out there among the stars, that's what we should strive for. Out there among the stars, this is very exciting. Out there among the stars, that's what we should strive for. This makes me look forward to the future. Makes me want that future. There are things, there need to be things that make you look forward to waking up in the morning. You wake up in the morning, you look forward to the day, forward to the future. A future where we are a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars, I think that's very exciting. That is a thing we want. Whereas if you knew we would not be a spacefaring civilization but forever confined to Earth, this would not be a good future. That would be very sad. No, I just think if there are two futures, and one future is we're out there among the stars and the things we read about and see in science fiction movies, the good ones, are true. We have these starships, and we're going to see what other planets are like. And we're a multi-planet species, and the scope and scale of consciousness is expanded across many civilizations and many planets and many star systems. This is a great future. This is a wonderful thing to me. And that's what we should strive for. Out there among the stars, that's what we should strive for. Out there among the stars, this is very exciting. Out there among the stars, that's what we should strive for. This makes me look forward to the future. Makes me want that future. Life has to be more than about solving problems. If all that life is about is solving
Research
problems,
complete.
why bother getting up in the morning? There have to be things that make you proud to be a member of humanity. Only a handful of people went to the moon. And yet, we all went to the moon. We went with them vicariously. We shared in that adventure. I don't think anyone would say that that was a bad idea. That was great. We need more of those things. Out there among the stars, that's what we should strive for. Out there among the stars, this is very exciting. Out there among the stars, that's what we should strive for. This makes me look forward to the future. Makes me want that future.
We've discussed the web from 3 points of view. As an analogy of the selective operation of our senses and mind, whereby
Research
certain
complete.
things in the world are picked out as significant according to certain game rules. The game that we are playing mostly is the survival game. That is to say, the game ought to go on. Only the way we play the survival game has a kind of element in it which makes it difficult, because we tend to say the first rule of this game is that it's serious. And that messes the whole thing up. So you have to watch out, in other words, when you play, for contradictory game rules, self-contradictory game rules. Because if you get mixed up into them, the game ceases to be worth the candle. You start straining at doing something, then it just isn't worth it. Then the second thing that we observed was the web as an analogy of mutual interdependence. We could call it the idea that all existence is relative, that all existence is transaction. The transaction being typically exemplified by, say, the operation of buying and selling, in which there can be no buying without somebody selling, and there can be no selling without somebody else buying. That kind of interdependence, of the inside going together with the outside. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Then we explored the web as a trap. The spider's web. Won't you come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. And we saw what would look at all of life from the point of view that it is original selfishness and original hunger. And we found that if you take that point of view to its ultimate extreme, it dissolves. And it isn't so bad after all. Shakespeare says, it is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. When it's put that way, it doesn't seem so bad after all. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. I remember that I had a Zen master friend who wrote a letter to a friend of mine which was passed on to me. This friend of mine was aspiring to be a writer, and he was trying to write novels that would put across Buddhism to people. Sugar the pill. And my Zen master friend didn't approve of this at all. He said, don't write any story to people. Write it to the great sky. Because all the real masters of literature, especially novelists and storytellers, are great masters of nonsense. Think of Lewis Carroll. You can use Lewis Carroll, and he did use Alice in Wonderland, as a Zen textbook. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toes that gyre and gimble in the wave. That's Zen. I had a discussion with a great master in Japan.
Colonists are
We were
departing.
talking about the various people who are working to translate the Zen books into English. He said, that's a waste of time. If you really understand Zen, he said, you can use any book You could use the Bible. You could use Alice in Wonderland. You could use the dictionary. Because, he said, the sound of the rain needs no translation. 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 Evening rain. It is the banana leaf that speaks of it first. You see, that's the point. And all the talk in the world doesn't get it unless you listen to the talk in a new way. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation.
So there's a line in the New Testament where Christ says that no one comes to the Father except through him, which is a hell of a thing for anyone to say. I am the way and the truth and the life. That's another one. Here's the idea. It's as if there's a spirit at the bottom of things that is involved in the bringing to being of everything. People talk about evolution as a random process, but that's not true. The mutations are random, but the selection mechanisms are not random. What are the selection mechanisms? Human females are very sexually selective. That's why you have twice as many female ancestors as male ancestors. So the male failure rate for reproduction is twice that of the female. How is it that males succeed differentially? Females reject. They reject on the basis of what? And the answer is, well, it's something like competence. How is competence defined? Well, men put themselves in hierarchies and they vote on each other's competence. Let's say you decide to follow the best leader in a battle. Well, then you don't die. Like, he might get all the women, but you don't die, so at least you're still in the game. And it might be the same if you're following the greatest hunter. And the greatest hunter wouldn't be the person who was best at bringing down the game. It would be the person who was best at bringing down the game and sharing it and organizing the next hunt and all of that. What that means to some degree is that there's a spirit of masculinity shaping the entire structure of human evolutionary history. That's what that means. It's the spirit of positive masculinity that manifests itself across epochal ages, millions of years perhaps. And it actually has shaped our consciousness. Actually. It's like the essential spirit of all the great men who defined what greatness constituted. That's a spirit. Well, that's a purely biological explanation. Well, that's God. God is the highest value in the hierarchy of values. Well, that's God. God is how we imaginatively and collectively represent the existence and action of consciousness across time. That's God. God is that which selects among men in the eternal hierarchy of men. That's God. God is that which eternally dies and is reborn in the pursuit of higher being and truth. But then there's another possibility too, which is that that's actually reflective of a deeper metaphysical reality. It has to do with the nature of consciousness itself. I think that's true, is I believe the biological case, and I believe the biologically reductive case, but I don't think that exhausts it. There's a metaphysical layer underneath that the biology is a genuine reflection of. And that's the macrocosm above and the microcosm below. We are really reflective, including in our consciousness, of something about the structure of reality itself. And that might involve whatever it is that God is. Well, that's God. God is the future to which we make sacrifices. That's God. God is the voice of conscience. That's God. God is the source of judgment and mercy and guilt. That's God. God is what calls and what responds in the eternal call to adventure.
Crop failure reported.
All right, at long last, the user interface for reality. Some of these things you're going to say, hey, I've heard about those. First, you must accept the frame, at least as a filter, that there could be a subjective reality and that you can manipulate it. You should accept that systems work better than goals. People are telling me every day that they implemented systems and it changed their life. This is one of the biggest buttons on the interface for life. If you don't like where you are and you want to go somewhere else, learn how to build systems for everything from your diet to your career to your social life, fitness, everything. Talent stacking. The idea that if you intelligently add new talents, you become not just a little bit better, but exponentially better, because talents really explode your capability and your options. So this is one of the biggest buttons on the interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. The interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. Affirmations, the idea of writing down or visualizing your goals, seems to be something that gives you the impression that it works. And I say that very carefully. Does it work? Do affirmations change reality? I don't know. I can tell you that when I've used them, the results I've gotten don't seem like anything could have been natural. I cured an incurable voice problem. I had ridiculous stock market luck when I used the affirmations. My career, as I told you, is just crazy. The interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. The interface to reality. It feels like it works, but I'm not going to tell you it does. You should see these as filters. If it feels like it works, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. If it feels like it works, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. The interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. The interface to reality. It feels like it works, but I'm not going to tell you it does. You should see these as filters.
The Chinese philosopher said, the highest virtue is not virtue, and therefore really is virtue. But inferior virtue cannot let go of being virtuous, and therefore is not virtue. Translated in more of a periphrastic way, the highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, therefore really is virtue. The highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, and therefore really is virtue. Lower virtue is so self-conscious that it's not virtue. That it's not virtue. Virtue is so self-conscious that it's not virtue. That it's not virtue. In other words, when you breathe, you don't congratulate yourself on being virtuous. But breathing is a great virtue. It's living. It's living. When you come out with beautiful eyes, blue or brown or green as the case may be, you don't congratulate yourself for having grown one of the most fabulous jewels on earth. So it's just eyes, and you don't account it a virtue. To see, to entertain the miracles of color and form, to say, oh, that's just... Real virtue. Real virtue. Real virtue. Real virtue. The highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, and therefore really is virtue. The highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, and therefore really is virtue. Lower virtue is so self-conscious that it's not virtue. That it's not virtue. Lower virtue is so self-conscious that it's not virtue. That it's not virtue. Real virtue. Virtue in the sense, the old sense of the word, a strength. As when we talk about the healing virtue of a plant. That's real virtue. That's real virtue. But the other virtues are stuck on. They're ersatz. They're imitation virtues. Are done in the name of righteousness. And be assured that everybody of whatever nationality or political frame of mind
or religion always goes to war with a sense of complete rightness.
The other side is the devil. Our opponents, whether in China or Russia or Vietnam, have the same feeling of righteousness about what they're doing as we have on our side. And a plague on both houses. Because, as Confucius said, the goody-goodies are the thieves of virtue.
How do I deal with setbacks, failures, delays, defeat, or other disasters?
I actually have a fairly simple way of dealing with these situations. It is actually one word to deal with all those situations. And that is good. And this is actually something that one of my guys that worked for me pointed out to me. He would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that, the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. One day he was telling me about some issue that he was having. He said, I already know what you're going to say. And I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. 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 You're going to say good. You're going to say good. You're going to say good. Good. So that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, good. Good. And I said, well, yeah. And I mean it. And that is how I feel. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good.
Colonist has died.
We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded? Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted? Good. You can get more experience and build a better resume. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. injured, sprained my ankle. Good. Needed a break from training. Got tapped out. Good. It's better to tap in training than to tap out on the street. Got beat. Good. You learned. Unexpected problems. Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. And that's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. No. You just look at the issue and you say, good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. I don't mean to say something that's all cliche. I don't mean to sound like Mr. Positive. Find the positive, but do that. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. Take that issue, take that problem, take that issue, take that problem, and make it something good. Make it something good. And bring that attitude to your team. You go forward. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. And last, I'd like to close this out. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, go out on the attack. And that right there is about as good as it gets.
Now then the question arises, who's deceiving who? Who's fooling who? I'm fooling me? What is fooling? Now then the question arises, who's deceiving who? Who's fooling who? I'm fooling me? What is fooling? Fooling is playing like you're there when you're not. You know, getting somebody else to answer your name in the roll call. So, we're all, you see, this is the metaphysical basis of it. This is what the Hindus mean by Maya, the world illusion. The world is playing it's there when it isn't. And it's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. And it's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. And it's a thorough big trap too. But always, when you get an idea like this or a feeling like this, follow it to its extreme. Don't back out from it. If you find you're selfish, go to the extreme of what selfishness means. Confusion largely results from not following feelings or ideas to their depth. You know, people think they want to be immortal. They'd like to live forever. Do you really want to do that? Think about it. Really go into it. What it would be like
people say they want this, that, and the other. They want this kind of car, they want this kind of dress, this much money, and so on. It's always a good idea to think it right through. What it would involve to be in that situation, to have those desires fulfilled. It's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. It's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. It's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. It's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. Also, when you form a relationship to another person, think it through too. You see? How inconvenient would they be? However attractive. Always turn the embroidery round and look at the underside, but don't get caught doing it. See, that's something one does on the side, in secret. Because otherwise you play the game that everything is as it's supposed to be on the front. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous.
A colonist has died.
And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human.
Akira. He's got clout.
I'd first ask the kid, who are you? At the core of your soul. And if he can't answer that question, our conversation's over. I can't say shit to him. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. Who are you? Who are you? If you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. Who are you? Who are you? Honestly, I'm blessed enough to have survived the life I lived and to come out the other side with a bunch of knowledge. So hopefully, I can help people that believe that they're much less than what they truly are. Help them find greatness in themselves. And greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 pull-ups or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You gotta first see it. You gotta first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, it's how am I gonna get there now? And that's when I come into play. But first you gotta create your own vision. And it's not external. The vision created is inside of you. So until you create that, I'm nobody to you. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. Who are you? Who are you? If you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
don't totally understand what I do with my time. They think like I'm a business guy or something like that. I'm an alien. Alien. I'm an alien. Alien. I don't think you'd necessarily want to be me. I don't think people would like it that much. It's very hard to turn it off. It might sound great turned on. But what if it doesn't turn off? All the time. Doesn't stop. All the time. Doesn't stop. All the time. Doesn't stop. It's like a never-ending explosion. Yeah. I'm an alien. Alien. I'm an alien. Alien. I'm an alien. When I was, 5 or 6 or something, I thought I was insane. Because it was clear that other people did not. Their mind wasn't exploding with ideas. All the time. No. It was just strange. It was like, I'm strange. I'm an alien. I hope they wouldn't find out. Alien. Because they might, put me away or something. I'm an alien. I hope they wouldn't find out. Alien. Because they might, put me away or something. I like to get things done. I like to be useful. That is one of the hardest things to do. To be useful. Doing something useful for other people. That I like doing. Yeah.
3 words. Give me inspiration for any day I'm feeling down.
3 words.
3 words.
You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration. Do something about it.
I don't look at anybody else. I have no fucking idea what you guys are up to, and I shit on myself every day. I critique everything I do. Everything is my fault. Period. End of story. Somebody hits me with a fucking car tomorrow, I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have left the house that early. You get into that fucking mindset, I promise you shit changes. You need to fucking suffocate your bullshit.
Optimistic or practical. Optimistic or practical. Optimistic or practical. Optimistic or practical. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration. Optimistic or practical. Optimistic or practical. Optimistic or practical. Optimistic or practical. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration.
To suffocate your bullshit. Period. You either need to figure out who's holding you back and their judgment and go to them. I want you to call your mom and say, fuck you. If she's the person that is suppressing you because she's miserable and misery loves company. I'm being dead serious with you. People aren't doing things because they're fearful of other people's judgment and they're still keeping negative energy around them because they're obligated. And to let that dictate your only life is fucking ludicrous. Go volunteer at a nursing home for 1 day. Talk to 8 people. You're gonna see something that's gonna scare the living shit out of you. It's called regret. Regret scares the shit out of me. Regret is the fuel besides gratitude that drives my life. You will see people and they will tell you things about the things they didn't do and the silliness to why they didn't do it, and they're running out of time. And you have time.
Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration.
If anybody that looks like you has ever done it, then you can too. If some kid that grew up with two alcoholic parents, right, and grew up in an orphanage made it, then you can too. It's about mindset. The second you start having losing mindset, you've already fucking lost. And love when people think shit like The Secret is real. It's not fucking real. Here's how it works. If you actually are optimistic and you make a goal and your actions map to it, you miraculously get somewhere close to it. It's not sitting on your couch jerking off and saying, I wish I had $1 million. You're living through massive human shift. This is the biggest culture shift since the printing press. The internet is only roughly 20 years old in being a consumer product for all of us. This is just starting. What do you think's coming next? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. Optimistical ractical. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, that's inspiration.
Know what the fuck you're doing? Are you actually putting in the work? Do you really want this that bad? Or do you want to make it look like you want it that bad? I challenge you and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Flatter themselves that it's saying dada. It's not. It's saying that. Pointing to thatness in everything. It's very important to see this. Because everything is just that. First, perhaps. Everything is meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Only words have meaning. Because they point to something other than themselves. The sound water is undrinkable. But it points to the drinkable reality. When you say though, what is that? At the water, and somebody says water, he's not being correct, because what you're pointing at is not the noise water, so it's not water, it's that. It's that. Water's a kind of jazz. It's just doing that. It's just doing that. People are a kind of jazz. They talk and communicate with each other, but what
see, as you do that, everything's like music, you see. It's all this complicated vibrations.
Now, people can say all kinds of things. They can say, well, this is just the autonomous substructures of the psyche manifesting themselves. But it sounds to me like a lawyer's explanation. It's hard to smoke DMT, especially if you're not a smoker. It's harsh. Some people don't get enough. I would say of the people who smoke as much as I think you should smoke, 75% probably report something like this. It's hard for people to report. I've had years and years of practice. What I've just told you about this is an incredibly crumpled, compressed, edited version. Because what is really happening in there is unspeakably bizarre. 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 That seems in fact to be its quality, that it is unspeakable, and that therefore in order to speak of it, you have to make a leap of faith to this higher order glossolalia-like language. Ayahuasca is a slow release DMT. Again, at very high dose ayahuasca and at very high dose psilocybin, these entities begin to emerge. When I take psilocybin, sometime in the second hour, I pass through a place which I've learned to recognize. It's a feeling, and I call it elf country. And there are no elves, but there's a feeling. And then I call them, following the directions of a favorite episode of I Love Lucy, I call them by saying, "Come in, little green men, little green men." It's simply a permitting. It's simply an invocation. And then they approach like a Newari bear. Unspeakably bizarre. 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 Unspeakably bizarre.
I got married. Well, the woman who's my wife, Tammy, who I've known since she was 8 years old, she lived across the street from me in this little town called Fairview, and I was in love with her like the first time I saw her, which is quite the bloody thing. So that's worked out pretty well for me. But she came to live with me about the same time, and we decided jointly to get our act together, and we swore that we'd tell each other the truth. I think she's actually done better than me. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. Here's one memory. When I was in grade 5, I got glasses, and I was pretty proud of these glasses. They were horn-rimmed glasses, and she came out onto the street. She looked at my glasses. I said, "What do you think of those?" And she says, "I think you look really funny in those." And then she pointed at me and ran into her house. It was like 20 years later that she finally told me that she had always wanted to have glasses, and she was jealous about it. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which which is unbelievable. It's been so useful because I can really tell her things and we can really talk. So I tell you, if you want to have a good relationship, man, you embed it in the truth, because if you don't embed it in the truth, you don't have a relationship. It's just lies. It's a tissue of lies, and it will dissolve into chaos as soon as a crisis comes along. So the truth is a terrible thing, but not compared to falsehood. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. I don't think she's lied to me ever in our entire marriage, which is unbelievable. I mean, I told my dad when I was in grade 5, I was sitting with her on this big armchair in our living room, and she was sitting beside me on the armchair, which I was pretty damn thrilled about. And she was being chased around by all the boys in the school at that point. She was very hot property, and so I was pretty happy to have her sit by me. And so she left, and I told my dad that I was going to marry her.
Akira.
He's got clout.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. One heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. Hold on.
Another way of talking about the web is that there are different levels of magnification. For example, supposing you take a piece of embroidery, and here it is, obviously in front of you, an ordered and beautiful object. Then you take out a microscope, and you look at the individual threads. At a certain point, as you turn up the microscope, you'll get a hopeless tangle. It doesn't make any sense at all. The wrapped fiber that constitutes the thread is a mess. Hasn't been organized, nobody did anything about it. But at the level of magnification at which you actually see it with the naked eye, it's all been organized. It's all been organized. It's all been organized. It's all been organized. All right, now keep turning up that microscope. Take one of those individual threads in the fiber that seems to be so chaotic and go into the constitution of that. And again, you will find fantastic order. You'll find the most gorgeous designs of molecules. Then keep turning it up. And again, at a certain level, you'll find chaos again. All right, keep going. And at another level, you'll find this marvelous order. Now you see, order and randomness constitute, in other words, the warp and the woof. Where everything is in order, everything's under control. In randomness, it's all been organized. It's a mess. 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 But we wouldn't know what order was unless we had messes. It's the contrast of order and messes that order itself depends upon. And so in exactly the same way, it is the contrast of on and off, there and not there. In other words, life and death, being and non-being, that constitutes existence. Only we pretend that the random side of things, the disorderly side of things, could possibly win in the game of competition, or I would rather call it collaboration between the two.
And grief.
When you lose sight of the fact that the order principle and the random principle go together, that's exactly the same predicament as losing sight of the fact that all individually delineated things and beings are connected underneath. You know, just like mountains stick out of the earth and there's the fundamental earth underneath them, so all of us as different things, we stick out of reality. And there's a continuity underneath, but you ignore that, you see. That's the thing that's left out. It's all been organized. It's a mess. 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 See, I'm just giving you many examples of the same principle.
Resources are low. There are Earthsick colonists. A colonist has died.
Akira. He's got clout.
do I deal with setbacks, failures, delays, defeat, or other disasters?
I actually have a fairly simple way of dealing with these situations. It is actually one word to deal with all those situations. And that is good. And this is actually something that one of my guys that worked for me pointed out to me. He would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. One day he was telling me about some issue that he was having. He said, I already know what you're going to say. And I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. 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 You're going to say good. You're going to say good. You're going to say good. Good. So that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, good. Good. And I said, well, yeah. And I mean it. And that is how I feel. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded? Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted? Good. You can get more experience and build a better resume. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. Got injured. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Good. 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 Needed a break from training. Got tapped out. Good. 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 It's better to tap in training than to tap out on the street. Got beat. Good. Good. You learned. Unexpected problems. Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. And that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. No. You just look at the issue and you say, good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. I don't mean to say something that's all word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, go out on the attack. And that right there is about as good as it gets.
I've really been trying to make sense of this, because, well, what the hell's going on? Why am I selling out 3,000 person auditoriums? I use the stage, let's say, as a opportunity in real time to think. I've been thinking, well, if you're surfing, you don't confuse yourself with the wave. The wave. The wave. That's a real mistake. You might be on top of the wave. You're not the wave. The wave. The wave. That's a real mistake. You might be on top of the wave. You're not the wave. I think this long-form discussion and the public hunger for that is best conceptualized like that. There's a technological revolution. It's a deep one. Online video and audio, immediately accessible to everyone, all over the world. It's turned the spoken word into a tool that has the same reach as the printed word. So it's a Gutenberg revolution in the domain of video and audio. And it might be even deeper than the original Gutenberg revolution, because it isn't obvious how many people can read, but lots of people can listen. The wave. The wave. The wave. You might be on top of the wave. The wave. The wave. The wave. You might be on top of the wave. The wave. I mean, you got a little bit of that with TV, right? And you got a little bit of it with radio. But there was bandwidth limitations that were really stringent, especially in TV, where you could get 30 seconds if you were lucky, and 6 minutes if you were stellar, to elucidate a complicated argument. So you can't do that. Everything gets compressed to a kind of oversimplified entertainment. But now, all of a sudden, we have this forum for long-form discussion, real long-form discussion. Turns out that everyone is way smarter than we thought. The wave. The wave. The wave. The wave. That's a real mistake. You might be on top of the wave. The wave. The wave. The wave. The wave. You might be on top of the wave. The wave. The people at the forefront of this are being cascaded forward like a surfer on a giant wave on this technological transformation. It's necessary to keep your ego under control. With regards to the people coming to see me, the proper attitude towards that, and I think this is true for any performer, is gratitude. You bloody well be happy those people are there. And you should never think there's something spectacularly special about yourself that's attracting these people, and that somehow you're above them and they're your fans, or there's this real power differential, even though that sort of manifests itself because people are so happy to see you. That's a dangerous pathway, and I truly am ridiculously overwhelmed and grateful and happy and pleased that all these people show up.
The impact I want to have in the world is we are all great. No matter if if you think you're dumb, no matter if you think you're fat, no matter if you are fat, no matter if you've been bullied, no matter if you just got back from Iraq or Afghanistan and you have no legs or your arms or whatever, man. We all have greatness. You gotta find the courage. You gotta find the courage to put your Bose headphones on and silence the noise out of this world. And to find it. And to find it, 'cause it's out there, but it's gonna take hard work, courage, self-discipline. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills to be great. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills to be great. It's gonna take hard work, courage, self-discipline. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills to be great. The impact I want to have in the world is for everybody to be able to face who they are. I want to have that kind of impact where you can go on TV. You can put your life on a billboard. You're not ashamed of who the fuck you are. You're not ashamed of what life made you, what you helped life make you. All that bad shit that's now in this big pot that's stirring, you're no longer ashamed of it. You realize we're all fucked up. Stop judging yourself against other fucked up people who have hidden it better than you. That's all they've done. They've masked their shit better than you have, and now they're flipping it back on you and saying you're fucked up. I want you to realize that this world, life, is one big head game. And once you learn to play the motherfucking head game, it's no longer a game anymore at all. Start living your life. But it's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills to be great. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills to be great. It's gonna take hard work, courage, self-discipline. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills to be great. To be great. To be great. To be great. Smart is good, all this stuff is good, that's all cognitive. It's the non-cognitive skills that set you apart from everybody else. And that's what it's all about.
He's got clout.
When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. Not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. Not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. So none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate it. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him, these are obstructions. Yo, discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Whatever this is that I am, it is flesh, a little spirit and intelligence. Throw away your books. Stop letting yourself be distracted. That is not allowed. Instead, as if you were dying right now, despise your flesh, a mess of blood, pieces of bone, a woven tangle of nerves, veins, arteries. Consider what the spirit is, air, and never the same air, but vomited out and gulped in again every instant. Finally, the intelligence. Think of it this way, you are an old man. Stop allowing your mind to be a slave, to be jerked about by selfish impulses, to kick against fate and the present, to mistrust the future. What is divine is full of providence. Even chance is not divorced from nature, from the inweaving and infolding of things governed by providence. Everything proceeds from it. And then there is necessity and the needs of the whole world, of which you are a part. Whatever the nature of the whole does and whatever serves to maintain it is good for every part of nature. The world is maintained by change in the elements and in the things they compose. That should be enough for you. Treat it as an axiom. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. From the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Remember how long you've been putting this off? How many extensions the gods gave you and you didn't use them? At some point you have to recognize what world it is that you belong to, what power rules it and from what source you spring. That there's a limit to the time assigned to you, and if you don't use it to free yourself, it will be gone and will never return.
Course, I think it was called. So it was me and this like really overweight kid and like these 60-year-old women, and man, they could out exercise me like mad. It was really embarrassing, me and the overweight kid, you know. We'd be just panting ourselves 3/4 to death at the end of the bloody workout, and these 60-year-old women who weren't in great shape were like, you know, chatting away as if nothing was going on at all in the pool. So that was quite embarrassing, and as was going to the weight room, you know, because when I started I could barely bench press 75 pounds, and people used to keep coming over and helping me, which was the last thing I bloody well wanted, but certainly needed. I got to the point where I could bench press 225 pounds. I think that was the best I did, and I gained about 30 pounds of muscle in a year and a half. So that was a good thing. So, like, I was kind of a wild man. So, like, I was kind of a wild man. And, you know, I'm a little bit manic in my temperament, and so I was kind of going every direction at the same time. You know, I don't regret that. I had a fine time when I was a kid, but I needed to get disciplined, and I had to do it because I was working on these hard problems that I've been discussing with all of you, and I've been working on them really obsessively since I was probably about 18, maybe even earlier than that. So, like, I was kind of a wild man. of a wild man, kind of a wild man. So, like I was kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man. Got to the point around 25 when I was in graduate school trying to get my PhD. I published 15 papers by the time I graduated, which was, I think, by a fairly large measure, the most papers that any undergraduate student at that time had ever published at McGill. And at the same time, I wrote Maps of Meaning, which was a terribly difficult thing to do because I was writing about 3 hours a day doing that. And I couldn't do all that and continue with my misbehavior, you know, my sort of, what would you say, my massive hedonistic consumption of alcohol and all of that. I just couldn't keep it up and also work seriously on the issues that were at hand. So I had to stop. That's a sacrifice. I had to stop messing about and straighten myself out. So, like I was kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man. So, like I was kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man. So, like I was kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man. So, like I was kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man, kind of a wild man. I had to stop. That's a sacrifice. I had to stop messing about and straighten myself out. There's this idea that Jung had, which I really love, which is the idea of the shadow. Which is the dark side of humanity. Its roots reached all the way to hell. He meant something very specific by that. The metaphysical element was, he meant hell, literally and metaphysically, but he also meant that if you were able to understand your dark side, then you would see in yourself a reflection of the behavior that was present at Auschwitz. And that the reason that people don't take the dark side of themselves seriously at all, even confront the fact that it exists, is because no one wants to see that reflected within them. And no wonder. Pursue what's meaningful and you'll encounter that which you least want to encounter. And that's the dragon. The dragon is also something that lives inside you. It's not something that you take the encounter with lightly. See, I kind of knew this when I had my kids. I'd already undergone that to some degree and understood what it meant to be a bad person, terrible person. And I knew that it was easy for people to hate their children, even though they mouth the words that they love them all the time. You don't want to set them up as an enemy against you. You don't want to allow them to engage in the kind of hierarchical challenge that makes you irritable and resentful. That's not a good idea. And if the things they do make you dislike them, the probability that they will make other people dislike them is extraordinarily high. You need to know what sort of monster you are if you're going to be a good parent. And if you think, oh, I'm not a monster, it's like, oh, yes, you are. You're just an unbelievably unconscious monster. And that's actually the worst kind. Your fundamental job as a parent, especially of a child from 0 to 4, is to make that child eminently desirable socially. You're a successful parent if, when your child is 4, all sorts of other children want to play with him or her. And so then you think, well, what have you done for your child? Well, you've opened up the entire world of children to them. So because they know how to play, everywhere they go, other kids like them and will include them in their play, and play is the way that children develop. The literature on this is crystal clear. If your child is an outcast at the age of 4, the probability that anything can be done about that is almost 0. No matter what you do. And then the other thing is, if you don't allow your children to engage in dislikable behavior, then adults will like them. And the thing is, if you're good to your kid in the real way, you can help them maintain that tremendous attractiveness that they have as young children. And then wherever they go, adults welcome them and teach them things and pat them on the head and smile at them genuinely instead of saying, oh my God, here comes that couple with that goddamn brat again. That's a horrible thing to do to a child. That's a horrible thing to do to a child. Because then everywhere they go, all the goodwill is false. And there's nothing that you can do to someone that's more terrible than to put them in a world where all the goodwill directed towards them is false.
He's got clout.
This is from Friedrich Nietzsche. Now, of course, you probably know that he was the philosopher who announced the death of God. What he meant by that was that the fundamental metaphysics that underlie Western culture had lost their foundation. And that the consequence of that would be the disintegration of the idea of value itself. Especially of value hierarchies. He thought of the inevitable consequence of that, or one of the inevitable consequences of that, a dramatic move towards a doctrine of radical equality. See, because if value itself is destroyed, the value distinction between things, so that one thing is not any better than another, then there's no reason for hierarchies of virtue or of value. And so the equality doctrine is a logical outcome. So here's what he wrote about that. Behold, this is the hole of the tarantula. Do you want to see the tarantula itself? Here hangs its web. Touch it so that it trembles. There it comes willingly. Welcome, tarantula. Your triangle and symbol sits black on your back. And I also know what sits in your soul. Revenge sits in your soul. Wherever you bite, black scabs grow. Your poison makes the soul whirl with revenge. Thus I speak to you in a parable. You who make souls whirl. You preachers of equality. To me you are tarantulas and secretly vengeful. But I shall bring your secrets to light. Therefore I laugh in your faces. It's my laughter of the heights. Therefore I tear at your webs, that your rage may lure you out of your lie holes, and your revenge may leap out from behind your word. Justice. For that man be delivered from revenge. That is for me the bridge to the highest hope, and a rainbow after long storms. The tarantulas, of course, would have it otherwise. What justice means to us is precisely that the world be filled with the storms of our revenge. Thus they speak to each other. We shall wreak vengeance and abuse on all whose equals we are not. Thus do the tarantula hearts vow. And will to equality shall henceforth be the name for virtue. And against all that has power, we want to raise our clamor. You preachers of equality. The tyrannomania of impotence clamors thus out of you for equality. Your most secret ambitions to be tyrants thus shroud themselves in words of virtue. Aggrieved conceit, repressed envy, perhaps the conceit and envy of your fathers, erupt from you as a flame and as the frenzy of revenge. What was silent in the Father speaks in the Son. And I often found the Son, the unveiled secret of the Father. They are like enthusiasts, but it is not the heart that fires them, but revenge. And when they become elegant and cold, it is not the spirit, but envy that makes them elegant and cold. Their jealousy leads them even on the paths of thinkers, friends, mistrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. They are people of a low sort and stock, the hangman and the bloodhound. 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 Look out of their faces. Mistrust all who talk much of their justice. Verily, their souls lack more than honey, and when they call themselves the good and the just, do not forget that they would be Pharisees, if only they had power. My friends, I do not want to be mixed up and confused with others. Some preach my doctrine of life and are at the same time preachers of equality and tarantulas, although they are sitting in their holes, these poisonous spiders with their backs turned on life. They speak in favor of life, but only because they wish to hurt. Those who now have power, for among those, the preaching of death is still most at home. If it were otherwise, the tarantulas would teach otherwise. They themselves were once the foremost slanderers of the world, and burners, the heretics. I do not wish to be mixed up and confused with these preachers of equality.
This ain't no middle of the mall, bitch. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. Now, when you go deeply into the nature of selfishness, what do you discover? You say, I love myself, I seek my own advantage. Now, what is the self that I love? What do I want? And that becomes an increasingly ever-deepening puzzle. Now, I've often referred to this when you say to somebody else, I love you. It's always rather disconcerting to the person to whom you say that. If you imply that you love them with a pure, disinterested, and holy love, they automatically suspect it as being a little bit phony. But if you say, I love you so much I could eat you, that's an expression, it's a way of saying to a person, you attract me so much that I can't help it. I'm absolutely bowled over by you. I'm gone. And people like that. Then they feel they're really being loved, that it's absolutely genuine. But now, I love you so much I could eat you. Now what the devil do I want? I certainly don't want to eat the girl in the sense of literally devouring her, because then she'd disappear. But I love myself. And what is me? In what way do I know me? Well, it suddenly occurs to me that I know me only in terms of you. See, when I think of anything that I know and that I like, then it's always something that can be viewed as other than me. I can never get to look at me, real me. It's always behind. It's always hidden. And I really don't know it well enough to know whether I love it or not. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's an appalling mess. But certainly the things I do love and that I want from a selfish point of view, when I really think about them, they're all something else. That's in a way outside me. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. Now we saw that there is a reciprocity, a total mutual interdependence between what we call the self and what we call the other. That's the warp and the woof. And so if you are perfectly honest about loving yourself, and you don't pull any punches, you don't pretend that you are anything other than exactly what you are, you suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You don't like all of it. You're selective about it, as we saw in the beginning. Perception is selection. But on the whole, you love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. Because it's only in terms of what is other that you have a self at all.
He's got clout.
The outside thing that you see and the inside thing that you are poles of the same magnet, or back and front of the same coin. Without one, there isn't the other. That means, of course, that we are living in the midst of a world of animals, vegetables, minerals, atmospheres, astronomical bodies. It's highly intelligent. Its intelligence concentrated, crystallized in our brains. That's where it comes out, see? In any field. The outside thing that you see and the inside thing that you are poles of the same magnet, or back and front of the same coin. Without one, there isn't the other. Let's take any field of forces. We take a chemical solution. And at certain critical points in this chemical solution, the crystals start to form. And so in the same way, the total intelligence of this whole universe crystallizes in human brains, also in other kinds of brains. That's where it really comes out. But it's the total intelligence of the whole field that does this. So we go with the whole thing, interdepend with it. The outside thing that you see and the inside thing that you are poles of the same magnet, or back and front of the same coin. Without one, there isn't the other. We don't live in environment which is just rock, just air, just atmosphere and so on. The environment's only like that when we think about it analytically and try to explain it. But when we think of it isn't just rock and air, see, but those things go together. When you see the interconnectedness, when you see in the simplest way how flowers go with bees and other insects, they don't live without them. Humans go with cattle, they don't exist without them. Plants, etc., etc., etc. When you see the interval, the significance of the relationships between these, it's only then that you are aware of the melody. The outside thing that you see and the inside thing that you are poles of the same magnet, or back and front of the same coin. Without one, there isn't the other. The person who can't hear melody, who's tone deaf, he hears only a succession of sounds because he's not aware of the intervals. Now, most people are brought up to be tone deaf in respect to their own existence and the rest of the universe. They don't see the relation. They're not aware of the universe. Once you spot that, you spot how everything goes with the thing. But you are one end, and that out there is the other end. And they really go together. Then you may be said to be living a harmonious life.
I view social media as a mirror. I think what people are putting out is an incredible indicator of what's inside of them. So right now there's a lot of political anxiety. There's a lot of ideological anxiety. And so what we're seeing is a lot of judgment. We consume as animals. And I think if one feels overwhelmed, they should stop consuming. I don't put social media consumption in a very different place than the films and music and books that one reads. The collective replies to people's angst is no different than Kurt Cobain's singular angst. And I think we're forgetting the upside. There's so much love and greatness going on every day. Forgetting the upside. Humans find what they're looking for. We're forgetting the upside. There's so much love and greatness going on every day. Forgetting the upside. Humans find what they're looking for. I think it's great. I don't care about social media. I really don't. I care about humans communicating with each other. I'm fascinated by communication, and I'm fascinated that we now have a collective ability to communicate at a scale that we've never seen before. And I think right now people are focusing on the downside of that. If you're signing into Twitter to find a fight, or to find somebody to fight with, to see some negativity, you're gonna find it. I think if you go to Twitter or Instagram to find happiness and positivity,